Hi, this is Scott Jordan, and you are watching live here at Cellars of Sonoma in beautiful Railroad Square, Santa Rosa, California. And welcome everybody to TV Tuesday Live. This is the show where we taste wine, we talk about wine, and from time to time I get to interview winemakers and chefs and people in the hospitality business. I just want to do a little housekeeping issue. For those of you tuned in for the very first time, this is an interactive show. We want you to participate. If you've never asked a question, tonight is the night I want you to ask a question. And it's just to right here where I'm pointing on the side is the social stream. You can sign up by just clicking Facebook from that location. Just put a question in there. It'll prompt you to either do Facebook, Twitter, or create a Ustream account, which is not a big deal. It just asks for your first and last name and an email address. And then you can ask us questions and we'll answer them live. That's really what this show is all about. And tonight we're going to go through Gann Family Cellars wines, and I've got Michael Gann in the house. Michael, welcome to TV Tuesday Live.
Good to be back, Scott.
Yeah, love to have you. So we have a bunch of wines that we're going to be tasting, and one of the things that we've done on the show recently is, of course, we invite our audience and people to come up and taste with us, but we also unveil some of the library wines, which we'll talk about later. But you and I got a chance to taste some older vintages, and when we're done with the current release wines, we're going to actually do a vertical of 05, 06, 07 Syrah.
Yeah, going to be fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never done one before.
No, I don't. We have never. And we kept the corks because the corks were kind of significant, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But that was kind of, it really showed what the fruit was all about in that particular year. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk more about that. Mm-hmm. But we're going to start with Chardonnay, and then a Pinot Noir, and then the Merlot 2007, which is a new wine, which is in our wine club shipment. And the next time I have you come in, mm-hmm. we'll have shipped out the wine for the wine club to our bloggers who are watching tonight, and they'll end up tasting that wine again with us live, and we'll do that. And then the 07 Zinfandel. Also, some of these we have wine specials, and we'll talk about that. And some of these are really small production. There's very little left, mm-hmm. and we'll talk about the scarcity of some of the wine. So let's get right to it and start with Chardonnay. This is a 2007 Chardonnay. Comes from Russian River. So tell us a little bit about this wine and how you produce it, Michael.
So this is grown a little north of here, up in Healdsburg, right on the Russian River. There's some wonderful gravelly alluvial soils right on the river. All the fruit comes from the state vineyard up there. It is all clone 4, so we don't have, we get a lot of fog pressure and everything up the valley. So when you've got like little tiny berries like Dijon clones or whatever, that tends to be much more mildew. It just catches into the clusters there. Mm-hmm. So with the big berries, there's lots of air flowing through. So it's all clone 4. It is 100% barrel fermented. Only about a third of the barrels are new. So we're not trying to put too much oak on it. About 80% goes through malolactic naturally. Okay. Some barrels don't fire off, and we're okay with that. Mm-hmm. 80% is a good number. So really what we're trying to do is have a wine that isn't dominated by oak or by butter, mm-hmm. but yet it's got a nice layer of fruit that shows through. We want to show the fruit off, but still have a little bit of that oak in there and a little bit of the butter on the finish.
Well, it clearly is a big hit. People like this, and we talk about Chardonnay all the time on the show, and guests kind of go in one camp or the other. They tend to lean, if they like that crisp, fresh cut apple, they want that 100% stainless steel, but they want a little oaky, buttery, and then they throw out different names of wineries that have a certain type of wine. But oftentimes, I can grab on to both camps in this wine. Because you didn't do 100% malolactic, it's not overdone, it's not over oaky or over buttery. So there is that hint of crispness that you still get in the wine that one person's looking for, that's going, I want stainless steel, and please don't give me an oaky butter.
So we like to use the word balanced. It's a balanced
There you
wine.
go.
It's not a one-dimensional wine. It's actually balanced across all the dimensions. And it's done really well. It scored 91 points in Wine Enthusiast magazine, so got a nice score. I think white wines start with a 6-point, handicap to begin with. So,
Oh, yeah.
So to get a 91 we were very pleased with it.
Anything in the 90s, I think, in white wine, Chardonnay especially, pretty difficult to do, hard to do. And so that's a great score. And a beautiful wine, and hanging in there. It's an 07, but you really shouldn't be afraid of letting the Chardonnays age a little bit. I mean, you're not going 10 years on a Chardonnay, at least not in a 750 bottle, but you could put a few years on it.
These are all handcrafted wines. This is not your, tank ferment, 100,000 case production. This is definitely a lot smaller, handcrafted wine, and it's easily, a 5 to 7 year wine. Just ageability. It was, when we bottled it at the end of 2008, it was very good then, but it's held up extremely well over the last few years.
Yeah,
So.
It's still rocking and rolling. Retail on that is $28. If you're a Cellar Club member, you get that at $23.80. So under 25 bucks for the Cellar Club, that's pretty damn good for really an estate handcrafted wine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And as I've said many a time, show me a Russian River Valley, 90-point plus Chardonnay, estate grown, small production for less than $30.
Yeah. In fact, Karina, if you'll zoom in on the label here, we talk about this, but for those of you that live outside of California, when you go into the wine shop, what you want to focus on is the appellation or the valley. So if it doesn't say Russian River, but it says Sonoma, at least we've narrowed it down to the land, within the county. If it says California on it, then it can be from anywhere in California, and so the quality probably isn't really going to be there as much as it is when you break it down to a single appellation, which is a much smaller area, more controlled area where you're going to get similar characteristics of that area.
I mean, the high quality wine growing regions are really, you would argue coastal.
Yeah.
They have the cooling of the Pacific Ocean coming in. It's out in the Central Valley that's where most of the California Appalachian wines come from. And
Right.
quality just isn't the same as it is here on the coast.
No, and it really can't be. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, and we're fortunate here that we're surrounded by these incredible AVAs that are just amazing.
So one of the things that happens out in the Central Valley is, it's 115 in the day, and then it gets down to 95 at night. There's not that much of a temperature swing between there. Whereas we can get up to 100, maybe even 105 on some weekends, but then we could go all the way down to the 50s in the evening, and we've got 50 points of temperature swing, and that really is great for building acid in the wine, which is really kind of a key backbone structure for wine. The other thing that is important is because we cool down, we have a longer season. They're probably harvesting really early in the year because it's just so hot.
Sure.
So they don't get that hang time. They don't get that flavor development that we get on the coast, where we have realistically a more moderate environment and climate here.
Yeah. And well, I'm loving the Chardonnays that I'm seeing right now, and this is a great buy. And we might taste a younger version of this. We've got one down.
Older version of it.
Oh yeah, or older, younger, older. That's right. an older version.
Yeah.
Of that. But yeah, don't be afraid of putting a little time on that. It's not going to hurt one darn bit. Tell us a little bit about, we really went, we had a fantastic 2012, 13, everything I've seen out in the valley, amazing. Now I noticed, it's been pretty hot, so I noticed a lot of people are out picking.
Yeah. Been picking for a while now.
Yeah. But like today, you've got this weird, foggy, almost drizzly out there. It's kind of humid.
Huge fog bank rolling in.
And is that going to slow things down a little bit?
Yeah. It'll actually, it's interesting when you get those heat spikes going and the sugars just start, really spiking and people kind of maybe freak out. And, if you had 10 days of nothing but that, you might be calling a pick. But if it's only going to be a couple days like we had basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then boom, it starts moderating and going back into the 80s today, the sugars will actually go backwards a little bit. They'll actually recede.
Oh, interesting.
And so you can get a little extra hang time out of it. So
nice.
Yeah, you don't want to panic too much there.
Well, I think we're probably maybe 2 weeks ahead of schedule normally.
I would say that's about right.
About right.
That's about right.
And it does give us a little.
2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking a month ahead of schedule.
Yeah, right.
And then it kind of cooled off. It cooled off, and kind of so we're playing a little bit of catch up there. So.
Well, the good thing is we don't really have on the horizon any rain prospects for probably the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Knock on wood.
And then does that then give you a little more flexibility then, right, in the vineyard where you can say, all right, well, let's leave it on the vine for a little
I think the challenge that we've had in some years is when you get that heat and it just spikes and it stays that way, everything kind of comes in at the same time and it's just chaos at the crush pad. And when it's more moderate and the grapes, each varietal kind of comes in at its time based on its microclimate, the pick is spread out much more and there's not as much chaos on the crush pad, which I know all the winemakers and all the cellar rats are very thankful that they don't have to deal with, everything collapsed into a 2 or a 3 week window. Better to have it spread across 8 or 10 weeks. And really be able to take time and care.
Well, it looks like we've got that timing.
That's it.
Pretty good.
Plus, I mean, then you just end up with all the issues of, well, now we're out of tank space. We got new fruit coming in.
Right.
We need to destem it and get it, macerating and going through fermentation. But now there's another load coming in on its heels, and you don't have any tanks for it. So when you can spread it out over time, that's also very valuable to have free tank space to be able to do that.
Well, I think we're heading in that direction.
I think
I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
I really think. 2 in a row, that's pretty good.
Last year was a huge crop, right?
Yeah.
Biggest crop in California ever. 2012 beat 05, which was the previous
big
record holder for tonnage.
The one where we ran out of tanks and barrels.
And so usually what happens after a big year like that, things kind of, the vines are like, I need a little bit of a vacation. I can't have 2 epic years back to back. And so I think the good news, I was surprised at how healthy the crop load is this year.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be lighter. It wasn't. I mean, it was looking strong. Maybe not quite as big as last year, but it's looking really healthy. Looked excellent. Really looked excellent.
And that's just, and other people, we tell our guests, that every state grows grapes and produces wine. But they're so restricted on what they can grow because they don't have this beautiful non-rain scenario that we have here that we rely on, which allows us to grow just about anything.
And humidity too.
Yeah, we never have, although it's a little humid right now, but for those of you from the Midwest and Iowa and those places and in the East Coast, you're laughing at us going, you don't know anything about humidity. You'd be sweating right now just pouring down.
But all those mildew issues go with humidity.
Yeah. So then it lends itself to
mildew and grapes are not good.
Yeah. So you can only grow certain varietals when you're dealing with that. Yeah. So here we can do anything. So we just grow in the right area. Did I grab the wrong wine? Okay, wait, let's have to go.
Right there.
Well, we have all these, the vertical here, which is just killer. But we're going to pour Pinot Noir. So this is 2009.
Yep.
Pinot Noir from Russian River. tell us a little bit. This is a finicky grape, so it does require a little more attention in the process. How'd you produce this, and what kind of style would you say this is?
This is kind of a lighter style. This is 100% Pinot Noir. It is, we have 3 different clones in the vineyard. Our vineyard is eastern facing, so it really only gets a little bit of morning sun. It is a challenging place because it's hillside, so we have some water challenges at the top. So we selected some different clones that we thought would work well given the different, the angle of the slope and the water issue, the way the water table drops off at the top. It's also underneath kind of a redwood grove, so it tends to get some shade in the afternoon, so it needs, whereas the one at the bottom has none of that, and it's like full sun. And
isn't the vineyard, it's kind of on the edge of Alexander Valley, right? I mean,
it is. We're actually in a spot where Alexander Valley and Russian River overlap, and there's about 8 or 10 vineyards that are in there. We've got a part of our ranch that is right on the Russian River. Soils and climate is much more Russian River-like. And then you go over the saddle to the other side, and the soils are much more Alexander Valley-like. Afternoon sun, a lot hotter over there.
Nice. Wow.
So for me,
That's
this is
damn
I love the cherry on the nose.
Yeah, big time.
I just love that cherry.
Yeah.
So again, 100% Pinot. There's no Syrah. There's no any other. It's just kind of thrown in there to give it some extra backbone and make it a little beefier. This is just pure Pinot Noir, kind of Burgundian stuff.
How long are you aging that?
I think this could be a 5 to 7 year wine, much like the Chardonnay. I think it won't, just given how limited the production is, it's not going to last that long.
Yeah, right.
It'll be sold out well before then.
Well, and we talk about production, we're going to get to that because we're going to talk about library wines and what really happens to these wines. And those of you that are watching from other parts of the country, you have a distinct disadvantage to us that are here. We have access to these wines because we're here, but really outside of the California market, it's pretty difficult. It's very difficult to obtain the wines from the tasting room, because of their very limited production. It's hard to get a distributor to take on a wine where maybe you only have 100 or 2 cases, and.
Don't get me going there. But you won't find small family boutique wines in very many books. I mean, there's 8,000 wineries in the U.S. now. And there is way more wine seeking distribution than there's distribution available to actually know the wine, sell the wine, support the retailers in getting the wines. It just does not exist. Yeah. The distributors cannot get that job done. So what we really need to do is these kinds of events where we can talk directly to the consumer, educate the consumer, and the key hurdle that I really think we got to work on is getting consumers over the hump of buying wines through the mail. People are so comfortable buying a ton of stuff through the mail.
Yeah.
How do we get them over the hump on buying wines through the mail? Great wines that you can't find at your local wine shop or restaurant.
Yeah.
That's our big challenge.
Well, and for those of you that are, say, east of Colorado, you have to be strategic when you're ordering wine. If a case of wine is a lot for you individually, go get a couple friends and pony up to buy a case. Ship a case. The savings between 4 bottles and 12 is 70% cheaper per bottle than on 4 bottles. So it's so much more economical for you to send a case. You don't pay tax. So the trade-off, especially if you're in like New York, what's the tax in New York?
Some you do. If you get a direct shipping license, sometimes the states twist your arm and say you will pay the tax. So
well,
you may not have.
Yeah, we got that one covered. We're okay. If you're in like New York, you're probably paying 10% tax on your wine. That's covering your shipping all day long. So non-issue there. You got a question, Karina? Karina doesn't have a microphone because she got mad last week and threw ours on the ground.
Probably threw it at you.
That's right. You just weren't looking.
That's right. So go ahead, ask the question, and then I'll repeat it because they can't hear you.
Okay, I have two questions. The
All right.
first one's coming from Brad, and he would just like you to elaborate on the aromas that are found in the wines.
Okay.
Specifically the Pinot right now.
Okay.
And then the second question is coming from Giselle.
Okay.
And he says that he sees various definitions for boutique wine. What does it mean to you?
Okay,
Oh,
so we have two questions. One, more descriptors on the aromas we're getting in the wine, and then the other question is definition of boutique, which that's a great topic. But let's go to the aroma first for Brad. Yeah, you get cherry notes.
Cherry.
Without a doubt.
And there's a little spice in there for me, whether
There is
it's
a
like
little.
some cinnamon or some nutmeg. There's just a little spicy component that you get on it, and it you smell it, but it really hits you on the finish on the wine. The cherry's the front, and then you get the spice on the back.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful finish on this. A great example of Russian River fruit. I mean, it really shows in the wine, no doubt. Boutique was the question. The other question. You want to say?
I can
something?
take a swag at it.
Okay. Because I have my own philosophy on boutique, because I've worked for very big wineries and then some medium and even small ones.
Right. So these are kind of some things that I've seen thrown around in the industry is boutique is less than 5,000 cases of production on an annual basis. 5,000, which is still a ton of wine.
Oh, my God,
So
it's huge.
small wineries are defined as under 15,000 cases of production. Medium wineries go up to 50,000 cases of production, and then anything over 50,000, 50 to 500,000 or 5 million is defined as the large. Those are the definitions.
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. You know, we talk about we talk about the word boutique, but you'd almost add another layer below that, and that's kind of where most of our vintners are in a lot of the wines. In fact, one of these Syrahs,
Less than 100 cases.
you had 85 cases.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. The barrel produces about 23 and a half cases, and you've got 85, so, you know.
Just a couple barrels.
Yeah, it's just a few barrels, man. That's nothing. And those wineries that are doing 500,000 cases, they spill that much. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just...
Their evaporation alone is more than we produce, which is just kind of crazy.
And that's another reason why you want to take advantage of these wines while they exist, because when they're gone, they're gone. There's no other market for us. There's no other place we can pull to get these wines. And they're the ultimate boutique, small, tiny,
I mean, the other dirty little secret is a lot of the big corporate wineries are making, you know, 1 million cases of something, and the exact same wine is going into a couple of different labels. And it's just more of a merchandising and branding exercise for them, but the wine is very, very similar. And that's just not the case with these. I mean, when it's just a couple of barrels, there is no second label for us. It's just everything pours into our label.
Yeah.
You know you're getting our wines from our estate, not something that's some conglomeration from fruit all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it shows in the finish of the wine, I'll tell you, they're beautiful. And we're going to get to the vertical.
I'm
which is
excited
kind
about
of-
that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys come into the tasting room, one of the things you get to do is a flight tasting. Flight is basically 4 wines. We give you a 1 ounce pour of each of the wines, so you can get a feel for the wine and then pick out a bottle or 2 or a case or whatever you want to have of the particular wines. One of the tastings we do, we call a blind tasting. The blind tasting is 4 red wines, and we pour all 4. We don't tell you the order. You try to guess. If you guess correctly, the tasting's on us. If you're a wine club member, you get a free glass of wine of any of the 4. So it's kind of fun. But then you get to enter your name into a contest to buy a bottle of wine for $1. And we've had a lot of fun with this since we started doing that. But you have to be tuned in to win. That means you have to be online, like many are right now, in the audience here, people in the tasting room. and on your smartphone. I mean, you can just get it anywhere. So, I mean, you can be in Germany, you can be in Afghanistan. In fact, you could probably be in
I don't want to be in Afghanistan.
Oh, you don't want to? Iraq. I mean, if Mark would get up, he could be watching. Our buddy Mark's in Iraq right now. So no excuse to not tune in. It's an educational show. I usually have winemakers and fun stuff, so no excuse. It's not you're not watching brain surgery, but we're tasting, talking about wine if you like wine. And many times I pulled a name and you weren't tuned in, but you got an email from me, and boy, oh boy, were you mad. But you figured it out, you tuned in, and you watched the show. That's what we want to do. So here's what we're going to do. Every week that we didn't have a winner, we add a bottle of wine. So now we're up into the Brad Harder's wheelhouse and some of these guys that...
What's the bottle count?
We're at 10.
10?
Now, we cap it at 10. We used to let it go beyond that. It just got out of control. But we cap it at 10. So now we're playing in the ballpark where it's really serious. When it's 1 or 2 bottles, it's like, okay, no big deal. But you get to buy them for $1 a bottle, which is pretty cool.
Do they get to pick the 10, or do you pick the 10?
No, they get to pick out of a hat the 10.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's still random. And
do you have some wines? What's kind of the dollar
well,
range
there's a cap in that. Yeah, we're not going to go too.
You're not doing that. You're not doing the $120 bottles of wine.
No, the 150. That ain't going to happen.
Just checking.
So I'm just mixing this up, and we've looked at this bag. It's freaking chock full. I mean, it is full. Now, I've had a lot of pushback from people, from many people that are saying that I need to take the old names out and only deal with the new names. So
that seems a little self-serving.
yeah, I'm having a personal issue with that. So anyway, but
I think you should try it for and then put them back in.
I took at one time, I took every single one of these out and I folded them exactly the same.
Okay.
And I eliminated the multiple duplicates of, the local people come in here and do the tasting over and over and over. So I kind of limited them to like 2 or 3. So made it fair.
So what's the premise that these people are giving to you on why you should get rid of the old ones?
Oh, they want their name pulled. They're looking for.
What are the odds of the old names versus the new names of the person actually being present?
Well, if we take all the old names out, who have long forgot about TV Tuesday, then the newer names, those that are watching right now, their odds just went up.
I'm just wondering if you have any stats to back up the premise or not. Because then you could just call them on the carpet and say, hey, we've called 3 old names in the last year, and they all won. So what's your beef?
Oh, that's so funny. All right, so they don't trust me, so it's got to be you.
That's fine.
So what we'll do is we'll pull a name, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call that person right at the end of the show to hopefully catch them live. I only caught one person live. That was that's a name. Wow. We pulled this one not too long ago, I think. Hunter Louder, Lowder, Louder, 831 area code 831. You have won 10 bottles of wine.
That's like Santa Cruz, Monterey.
831.
831.
Santa Cruz. I have the zip code here. So I have the zip code, which tells me this is a newer, because I added that.
Okay.
I added that
so
as a function.
A new name.
Yeah.
So that one stays in the bucket.
Yeah, if he doesn't call in. What's the zip on that?
It's 93924. 93924. And but we're going to call him at the end of the show. And then what I'll do is I email them.
Unless he calls you first.
Unless he calls you first, 707-578-1826 to be the winner. If you don't call Hunter, we're going to call you. And then if it's your answering machine, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to send you an email with a link to watch the calling of your...
Oh, you're cruel.
Oh, I'm the best. But, that's the rules. Everybody else lives by the rules. Why not? Just because our government doesn't live by the rules. Anyway, I won't go into that.
Yeah. Don't go there.
Don't get me started.
The NSA is watching you right now.
We have a question for you, Michael, and that is, what are your thoughts on virtual wine tastings on promote their brand to target market.
So repeat that question. What?
And I know we're kind of in a similar situation, so.
Yeah.
Virtual wine tasting, I love it. I love that as a concept to help promote wines. It's great. I think the younger generation is much more open to recommendations from their friends, and if they were maybe not able to be present at one of these virtual tastings, but they have a group of friends that they regularly drink wines with, and if their friends all go gaga over a particular wine, they might be willing to buy just off the recommendation. So I think those are very valuable.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that have viewed this show made purchases based on what they saw here. So we have results that back that up without a question, and we're going to get out to our bloggers the current wine club shipment, and in the current wine club shipment is the Merlot, which we're going to taste after this, and we will have you back, and we'll have the bloggers taste that evening right along with us. So that's virtual. That's the ultimate scenario, which I stole that idea from another winery, by the way. That's why I have TV Tuesday. Did you know that?
Yeah, no, I
did.
didn't know you stole that.
I did. It was an idea from another winery. I won't say the name because my wife will be really mad. But they came up with the idea that they were going to ship the wine to their wine club and then have them tune in to a broadcast with the winemaker and drink the wine along with us on the right. That was the premise of TV Tuesday. That's why I started this.
They had. I remember a while back, Rick Backus did the Sauvignon Blanc Day.
Yeah.
And there were literally thousands of people across the U.S. For me, the challenge was everybody was drinking a different Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
So you had just all these comments flowing in, and it was great for Sauvignon Blanc, the varietal, but it didn't necessarily build any particular brand. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to do smaller ones where you could just everybody's tasting the same wine. That would be kind of cool.
Well, and that's what we want to do with the bloggers. They will have the actual wine.
How many do you have doing that now? 4,
we
5?
have 4 in
Four?
the country. One moved to Napa, who hasn't come in here yet, and to be on my show. What is up with that, Grace? Hello, Grace. Hello. I know you're tuned in. She moved to Napa, and so she can't come over the hill to us lonely people here in Sonoma County. Really? So I'll shame her into it. That's the only way to do it. This is a 2007. Is this is Zinfandel?
It is.
Okay, we took it out of the order that I was going to do it. Okay. 2007 Zin, rocking the house. Big wine. Wow, huge.
It is big.
It is monster. This thing is screaming. You got a deal on this. And you can mix and match this with 2 other wines that we've got in your portfolio. But you can get this, it's retails at $32, but you can have it at $18.75. You buy it by the case. That's pretty good.
By the case.
Yeah, you buy it by the case. That's a good deal. And this sucker is hanging in there like nobody's business. Look at the color of that. That's absolutely beautiful. It's not bricky. It's not, you know what I mean? For a 07, that's rocking and rolling. If you like a jammy Zinfandel, this has got the jammy baby going all day long. Yeah, and it's a beautiful vineyard.
I was just going to say, this vineyard was planted in 1999, and it turns out that the neighbor just to the north of us planted his Zinfandel. I think it was 1905. So this is a 110-year-old vineyard. It's been making epic Zins for a long time.
Did you steal the cuttings from
Well,
them?
we didn't steal the cuttings. This was done, in full disclosure. So there was no trickery here. And so you take the cuttings and you graft it onto new rootstock. It's at this plateau, kind of. The vineyard's shaped like a saddle. So at the very highest point, we call it the saddle. Up there's this little area that the Zinfandel shares the exact same exposure in soils as that other plot that it was planted in 1905. And we don't even know what kind of clone it is or anything, because they didn't track any of that back in the day.
Yeah, right.
They didn't have any of the DNA.
But I know that winery, and they make some damn nice
They do.
Zins.
They're known for them.
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
Yeah.
Well, what I'll try to do is remember, I have a video of us
Yeah,
in that
in the
vineyard.
vineyard. Yeah.
One of the very, very, very early videos that we did, and we tasted the wine right there. We were right in the middle of that vineyard, but it's one of those majestic. It's kind of a cool spot. It's one of those places
Looks
where you
over
go,
the river.
Oh yeah, it's got all the right stuff. It's wine country out of its control. It's pretty cool. I'll get a little clip of that, and we'll play that next time you come in. It's really kind of, so it was a little windy that day, so you're getting a little bit of wind there, but you get a real feel for being right in the middle of the vineyard. We were right in the middle of the damn vineyard. That was pretty cool. That's hanging in there, man. Yeah, that's rocking and rolling. Take advantage of the price point on that. Again, you can get it down in the $18.75 range by picking up a case. And if it's too much for you, grab a couple friends. But geez, take full
That's
advantage.
a great idea.
That's a wonderful wine. That's pouring really
Split
nice.
a case with friends. Great.
Yeah, right? A little friend action. You guys have friends, don't you? You must have. What I want you to also know is when you guys come up this weekend, we've got live music here in the tasting room. On Thursday, Ray coming in on you got to come in and see John. John, a little shout out to John. He just had a baby. What did he have? A girl? What did he have? A girl or boy?
Yes, he had a girl.
A girl. Okay, that's right. He had a son. I had a second child, and now he's got one of each. He's done really well. And do you know he's a preacher? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He's opening his own church. So if you want to donate some money to John's cool church.
Wow.
Yeah, they do
He's
rock.
Renaissance
It's a rock
man.
and roll
Oh,
church,
okay.
kind of like yeah. It's interesting. He hasn't opened it yet, but I know he'll. That's how we found John, was at church.
Huh.
Yeah, my son. You don't know that?
No.
No, but see, Andrew came home. I may have told this. I'll just tell the story. It's because it's a cute story. Andrew came home from church one day and he said, "Dad, you got to have John Peter play in the tasting room." And I go, "We're not a nightclub. We're a tasting room, okay? We taste wine. We drink wine." He goes, "No, you didn't hear what I said. You got to have John Peter play in the tasting room." And I go, "Okay, this isn't going to end, right?" So I said, "Oh, he'd come in and play a couple songs on a Friday, and your mom and I'll sit and we'll applaud and get this thing over with, and let's move on." So John sets up. He comes in on a thing. He's halfway through the song, and I look over at my wife and I go, "Wow, we got to have John Peter play in the tasting room." And he's been playing in the tasting room on Fridays ever since. So
He's really good.
And he's really good.
He's really good.
And he's a really, really nice guy, and a new papa, and his wife's Vanessa's really cool too. And so he's just been a staple. And we couldn't help it but to add Thursday and then add Saturday, and so now we have 3 nights. And then I have Greg, a new guy, Greg. Is it Yoder? What is that? With that? Yoder. Greg Yoder. It will be in on Saturday. Playing all kinds of rock and roll 70s, 80s stuff. Very, very nice entertainment. So we're glad that he's here. And this is where you can taste all these fun wines. So make sure you get down here. All right, let's go to our next wine. Damn, this in is, when somebody says to me, "Give me your big," I pull this out and I don't
That's the
say
one.
anything. I just go, "Here, try that." If they say jammy, I'm all over. They're like, "You got to be kidding me." All right. This wine here, we saw this a year and a half ago. And I don't know what we were doing, but for some reason I grabbed a couple bottles and we just kept it back here. And I think we tasted it once and didn't do anything. And then when we were putting together the wine club shipment, we knew we were heading to the new vintage. And this 07 Merlot is rocking the house. And you can say whatever you want about Merlot. Do not dismiss Merlot. You've got to taste it. You've got to taste the Merlots, and we have several really nice Merlots here in the room. This is another example of one great location, Alexander Valley, and a fabulous vintage year. And so we put it in the wine club shipment, and the next time Michael comes in, you bloggers that are watching now, you'll have that shipment, and you'll have this wine. You'll taste right along with us. You'll just have to take my word that it's pouring really good. Beautiful nose. We started to pour this in the tasting room now, and everyone's loving it. I mean, it's just retail on this is a hot $28. Oh, that's so good.
I got a little.
$23.80.
I got a little Zinfandel still in the glass.
Do you?
Can I get a fresh one?
You can. You can pour it in anything you want. You own it. Oh, beautiful. Nice soft finish. One of the things that you'll notice with Alexander Valley is you end up with a really soft finish. That's just a characteristic of that appellation, so you really can look for that. Yeah, beautiful nose.
Red fruit.
Red, right? Yeah. Red cherry.
Maybe a little hint of like tobacco.
Yeah.
Leather. Just a
Leather.
little bit.
Yeah, definitely red berries more than a
Black. Yeah.
Oh,
There's almost like some kind of spice, like maybe just a hint of mint or something that's in there.
yeah, beautiful. Wow. So if you're out barbecuing the ribs, oh man,
I
you're
love the
jumping all over it.
spice on the finish.
Yeah.
It's got a nice little spice layer there.
Yeah, this is a rock and roll wine. Those of you that are wine club members outside of California, we're going to be shipping out this week. We're going to probably go with the temperature controlled truck just because it's a little hot. That'll get it to the hubs, and you're going to cool down over the next week. So by next week, you should see those wines. And this is one you want to dive in right away. You want to really see what's going on with this wine, because if you like this, you need to order it right away and lay some of this down. This has amazing ageability. I mean, you could put it down for quite a while. That's pouring really nice.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, right?
Well, 07, I mean, 04 and 07 were arguably the two best vintages of last decade. And almost all the 07s just came out, and they were just beautiful wines. And
Well, and I
this
haven't
one's
seen
right
a
in there.
bad one. I mean, I have not seen a bad 07 yet, right? We go out in the valley all the time, and I'm loving them.
that is
I'm
wonderful.
loving them a lot. The one that I like, too, for those of you that collect wines or have verticals, which we're going to get to in a minute, 06, don't walk past 06. I have tasted some really nice 06s in the big reds lately, and they've been fantastic. They really have been nice. Right?
That is so good.
I know. And I mean, literally, we had it in there for a year and a half and never even tasted it. And then we were looking for a wine for the wine club shipment, and I said, well, let's try that 07, and I almost fell off the chair.
And so we should mention, this is pre-release status. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
still have the 06.
Yeah, we still got 06 on hand.
Right, so that's the 06 is the currently released vintage. We're trying to work through that, getting close to the end. But the reality is this was so good that we wanted to share this with the wine club and kind of bring it out as
And
a pre-release.
they're going to dig this.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is not publicly available. So you're kind of getting a little treat here. And I think if wine club members wanted to come back in and get a case or a half case, that we would extend them the pre-release on that, right?
Yeah, they'll have a little window be able to buy up, and then we're going to pull it back and then move through the 6 and then roll that out. The other thing that you got to remember is you want to try to build, we talked about this last week, you want to build verticals, and we're going to get to a vertical that we pulled together today. You really want to pull those verticals because those are pretty cool. When you can taste an 05, 06, 07 side by side, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so because these are such limited production wines, you got to grab them and stash them now because the holes are you'll never be able to
Here's
fill
the
them.
other plug that I'm going to put in for boutique wineries is this is all single vineyard designate, estate grown. There's one block that develops that Syrah. If you go to some of these larger wineries, they could be sourcing fruit from 5, 10, 20 different vineyards. And every year they're kind of, have more of a recipe model and trying to keep that wine very consistent. You don't necessarily see as much difference from vintage to vintage. So with ours, I mean, we're going to see, because we had a little pretest.
Yeah, we did.
The
We
show
did,
came on.
definitely.
There's a huge difference in each of these vintages.
Oh, yeah. Which really lend itself to what happened in that vintage year, not necessarily a source of fruit. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious. And it's even obvious in the corks, which I'm going to show you in a minute, how different they are based on the vintage year. And one was taller than the other one. We haven't figured out what that was all about. But, all right, so Merlot, if you love Merlot.
That's a great
And if you don't even like Merlot, get yourself in here. I almost said a bad word. I shouldn't do that on TV. Get in the tasting room and taste the Merlot. And I'm just going to pour it for you, not even tell you what it is, and you'll fall in love with it. I mean, you'll be,
that's
right? All over that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
a beautiful wine.
Yeah, for $28, you got to be joking. Okay. All right, let's have a little fun here. So let's clear this. I'm going to clear this over here, and I'm going to get room for us to do our vertical. Let's see, what is that? That's Pinot Noir. I'm going to get that one over here. So we have, do I have them in order? No, I don't. 06, 05, 07. So there's the 3 wines in the vertical. Can you do a 2-bottle vertical? I hear that question. Yeah, you can. Is 3 more fun? Yeah, sure is. 4 is even better.
Yeah.
Syrah's a particular wine. You can put a little time on it. It's not going to hurt one bit. And we're gonna be believers when we taste this.
I should have brought an 04. Then we could have done a 4-bottle vertical.
Don't I have a 4 here? Do I have
know.
a 4 here?
I don't know.
That's scary. No, I don't think I do.
No, I don't think you have any 04 here.
All right, so there's your 3 that we're going to do here, and here's my 3 here. Okay, so when you, those of you at home, when you do a vertical, it's best to take the oldest wine first and then see the progression of the wine. I think that's the better method. The other thing is, be a little serious with it, and here's what I mean. I mean, wine can be, we want it to be fun, but you want to be serious. You want to be able to appreciate it. Try to do it with your guests in the beginning of the meal. So if you're gonna showcase a vertical and really show it and taste it side by side, one, you need a lot of glasses because you need 3 per person. That's how that has to work. But yeah, you definitely want to do it early on in the meal. So think about things that would pair up nice with the wine that doesn't have to be steak or something like that. So some nice cheese would be a smart thing to have along with that. And then you guys can taste it, and see the progression, and then move on to your fun part of your meal and do all that. So that's my pitch for the vertical. But it is fun, though.
Maybe there's some, like I love this wine with lamb, so you wouldn't want to pair the tasting with the lamb, but if you had a little leftover at the end of people can grab their favorite vintage and have that as a glass to go with the entree.
Yes, yes. So we've got 05, 06, and 07. Some very different years. Mm-hmm. I think 05, if I remember, that was the one that I think everybody ran out of tanks. Was that the one?
That was
yeah.
That was
just ridiculous. It was
a lot of fruit.
Did it create a bulk market? It must have created a bulk market.
I'm sure it did.
That's probably pretty damn nice. I mean, because they were holding up really well. And I think that's what you're going to see in this vertical is how these held up. Now, when Karina gets back, I'm gonna show you the corks from each one of these. And you know, the color is still pretty damn nice, though, on that 05. Mm-hmm. What you might start to notice in wine, and let me just I want to do this demonstration for you guys that are tuned in from home. What you want to look at in wine is you want to look at color, and the way to do that is to give yourself a white background, and then Karina, can you? I know you want to
zoom
pour that in your own glass. I know she wants to just drink. She does. But what you want to do is like this. put the white paper behind there and just tilt your glass, and you can really get a feel for the color. Now, I'm not getting, as old as this wine is, '05, I'm not getting brickiness with that at all.
No.
I'm pretty clear on, the color here, so I'm not getting that one darn bit. But you want to look at the color. That tells you a great deal about the aging of the wine and how it's progressing. Then what you want to do is you want to swirl each wine, and
The 05 really needs it.
woo! Wow.
This one just has a little bit of that kind of, a little bit of Syrah stink is what I call to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's more prevalent than the other two. This one is this, and as I said before, that this is a particular vintage that I always decant, just because I know that this wine has these characteristics, and a little bit of that can kind of blow off when you give it a good 40 minutes, an hour in a decanter, and just kind of let it.
And don't overly judge the wine early on in the glass. It's going to change quite a bit in the glass as it starts to aerate, and you may find a completely different. So smell each one, take a sip of each one, and then go back and give it a little time. Don't do wine slamming. So don't take the wine and go whack and go, oh, that was really good.
This is when I'm actually really kind of vigorous in the decanter, kind of shake it up, get a little frothy.
Yeah, get it going.
Get it
going.
Let those aromatics release up and out, and then grate in the glass too.
Now, here's, this is the order, because I remember that one was so much deeper.
Yeah.
So, Karina, if you can get a zoom in on this, get really close to this cork, especially this one. This is 05, 06, 07 in order. Look at the crystals. Are you picking up the crystals on this? Mm-hmm. But look at, there are no crystals on the other ones. So tell me what's going on here. What's happening?
It's just part of the chemistry of the juice that came out that year. I don't think the winemaking hasn't changed at all.
So it's fined or filtered the same way. I mean, it's
exactly. The 04, I could pull an 04 for you, and you'd see the crystals.
Really.
Yep.
How interesting! It was amazing, and they were really different when I pulled those. So one of the things you want to remember is that when you pull the cork and you're looking at this, don't be so judgmental on what you see here. That may or may not, that may be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, but it's not. I mean, in this example, it's not at all. I mean, this is
another good reason to decant too. I mean, there is some sediment in the wine.
Yeah.
The 04 and the 05 sometimes will get that stripe if they've been laid down and they're you don't move them at all. It'll get a stripe on the bottom where all that sediment rests, and it also hits the cork.
Now I get in the 6. I'm getting a little smokiness. Did you change barrel programs at all? I mean, are you staying with the same basic formula?
Yep.
About a third new, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. About 40%. These are such small production. We could do a little. When you're down to, might even be 50. Right? 2 barrels. One of them's new. One of them's neutral.
What's that?
Did you pick Paul Hughes?
Oh my God! Did we get a winner?
No.
Paul
What?
Hughes is on the line. He got really nice.
I pulled Hunter Louder.
Hunter Louder. Good try,
Paul
Paul.
Hughes, though.
Good try, Paul.
No, I think did I pull his name like last week or the week? I think I pulled his name before, but
It sounded familiar.
it did, didn't it? Yeah. So very different nose between the 5 and the 6. I mean, quite different.
Yeah.
The 6 gives me that hint of elegance in the wine. Nice fruit, nice finish. I mean, yummy.
Yeah. Got to keep my mouth shut. I don't want to. Everybody has their own preferences as to what they like over the other ones, and yeah.
7 pretty smooth.
Very smooth.
I mean, it's really smooth. And you only made 85 cases. Are you guys crazy? Are you out of your mind here?
So I have to tell
wait,
you,
you only
that,
did- wait, you
so
only
the
did-
deal is, here's the deal, right?
you only did 50 cases of this.
So when we
Wow.
bought the vineyard in 2003, there were existing contracts on the Syrah block. And so we had to deliver like 6 tons out of this block to this other winery. And whatever was left above the 6 is what we got to keep. So it's not a very big block. It's like 2.5 acres. It would, not push much more than 6, 7, 8. So, I mean, basically we're at a ton and a half, 2 tons. That's all that we would get to make each year.
Man, and that's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
That shrinks way down.
Yeah, I mean, you get somewhere between 50 to 60 cases a ton.
50 to 60. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2.5 barrels or 3 barrels. I mean, that's nothing. Well, and here's, I mean, that's a beautiful vertical. And
You really do taste the different vintages in there.
oh, it's no
I mean,
question
the
about it.
for
No
me,
question.
the 05 was such a big crop. You had these huge berries that were just full of juice. And so for me, the 05 is not, it's a little leaner than like when you get to the 06 and the 07, we're not as big a crop. And so the berries were smaller. You didn't have quite as much juice in there. So you had more flavor from the skins in contact with the juice, and it just adds a little, you get a little more extraction out of it. And then the 7 was just kind of that epic. It's just so smooth.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Now, we have the 05, 06 as library wines. What is a library wine? Library wine is when we get down around 5 or 6 cases, we're ready to release the next vintage, and we put the wine in the library because it really becomes more valuable at that point. As a wine collector, you really want those older library wines. You know that you can put on many more years and still really enjoy these beautiful vintages. So they become a little more valuable and the price jumps up. But every once in a while, we open up the library and let you have a look at them, a little taste, and a really good deal on some cool library wines. So let me give you an example. The 05, there's 20, well, now there's 28 because I opened a bottle today. There's 28 bottles left. That's it in the world, 28. The library price is $45. You can have it at $31.50 steel. And then the 06 Syrah is $46. We've got about 60 bottles of that. And that one is at $32.20. And we'll let you have that for the next 24 hours. I'll send an email out with this for everybody else that wasn't tuned in. Give them a deal
Send
on
it to everybody.
Yeah, and let them all know what's going on. And yeah, once those are gone, man, that's it. Game over. So that's a really good deal. Go ahead. You got a question? Go ahead.
Brian would like to know what you mean by brickiness.
Okay, when you're looking at the color of the wine, as they get older, right along here, that we call the hue, right along here, the color will start to change like an old brick. That same kind of a color. That's why they call it bricky. And the closer it looks like a brick, the older that wine is. It's a hint for age of the wine. You're not getting, though, I'm not getting brickiness here. I'm really not. I mean, it's staying pretty
No, the color looks
true.
good.
So that means the wine's holding up really well. If it gets real bricky, that's a pretty old wine, and what's probably going to happen is the fruit's all falling off, and it's time to move on, and right? I
And to use a different color descriptor, it tends to go away from the reds and a little bit more towards the browns. That might be a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks like an old brick. That's where you get when you get into brick. That's a great question. Okay, so to recap, this week we've got live music 3 nights a week. Got Ricky. I keep forgetting this new guy's name. Fred? What's his name? Fred? Yoder?
Greg Yoder.
Greg.
Greg.
A little off there, buddy.
Sorry. New guy, you'll like him a lot. He's been excellent, been really good. Also, those of you that don't know, you're not obviously getting my emails, But for those of you that don't know, my nephew is the new punter for the New England Patriots. And we will be celebrating and trying to watch as many games here in the Taste Room on Sundays. So come down to that. I had hot dogs.
Go Niners.
Yeah, and go Niners. Destroyed the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, not even a chance for
Go
them.
Niners.
Gotta love that. And you know
So-
what? Go
so-
Giants.
so-
They had a walk-off last night in 10th.
Do the Niners play the Patriots this year?
No, they do not.
They do not.
We will be in Miami
Maybe
for
Super
the
Bowl.
Miami game. Yes, it could be the Super Bowl, which would be like really cool. My first Super Bowl. I definitely would be going
Will you
to
take
that.
me?
Maybe. Maybe. We do need wine, so there is some buy-in there. Yeah,
Where is it this year?
It's in New York.
Oh, it's at the Meadowlands. The new,
Yeah,
the
in
new
the-
Meadowlands.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, the New York Stadium. Yeah, it's in the New York Stadium. In the weather, which is interesting. We haven't
Yeah.
seen, they keep,
It could be snowing there in January.
oh yeah, I hope it's snowing. It adds a whole nother element. Although,
San Diego and Miami are nice in January.
yeah, well, that's okay. We'll go to the game. We are going to go to the Miami game in Miami this year. So we're going to do that. And we may be broadcasting TV Tuesday Live from Miami.
You're drinking mojitos there?
Oh,
Rather than
yeah.
wine?
Whoa,
Is that what you-
we're going to do it. If I do it,
you could do a rum tasting.
I could do it right in the beach, man. I'm going to do it. If I do, I'm going to do it right in the freaking beach.
That would be cool.
It'd be very cool. So we may be broadcasting that game. That's the December, I don't know, 15th or something, whatever that is anyway. So that's coming up.
Nice.
Yeah, we're excited. Hats off to Ryan. He's worked really hard. He's earned it. This kid's just got the juice, and he knows it. And he works real hard, and he's a straight kid, and he's going to do really well. And he's in a spot where he could play for 20 years.
And I'm sure you'll keep him grounded. Yeah.
All I know is we got our jerseys ordered, so we've got jerseys coming
Nice.
that are signed, and I'm going to put two up here. I'm going to have his Louisiana Tech from his college days, and then his NFL jersey, and we'll have them up here, and we'll do a show where we kind of show you
Nice.
guys that we're going to have those. They're all signed, and so we're working on that for our own personal
Sweet.
stash.
That's
so,
great.
Gotta love that. Okay, I want to thank my bloggers. Yes, the wine is coming. I will send it to you, and then we'll have Michael come back in, and we'll taste through the Merlot again with you guys live, so you get an idea of what that's all about. You can blog it out and tell the entire world. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank the folks that came up here to taste along
Thank
with
you.
us. And we hope that you enjoyed what we enjoyed. You've got the vertical. It doesn't get much better than that. Now, really quick, let me just call this guy really fast. Oh, I love this. Oh, man. And I get a note on here from
Karina's going,
Denzel. I know.
You're over your time
I know.
limit.
She's going, you're over there.
You're
But you know
way
what?
over your time limit.
I pay for it to be on all the time. I can go as long as I want. Okay, here we go. This is kind of fun, though. This guy answers.
Are you doing it on speaker?
Oh, hell yeah. 21.
I want to hear.
Yeah. Okay. You ready?
Only
Yeah.
have one person answer.
Speaker.
Yeah, the last one, the one that answered was Michelle, and she was in Hawaii, changing planes.
Excuses.
Yeah, right? Oh, God, this is so good.
You're evil.
On your cell phone, the best way to get a hold of me is via text or email. Or if you need to, please leave a message after the tone, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for calling. Bye. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To send it back, press 4 now. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Okay, this message is for Hunter Louder. Hunter, you almost won 10 bottles of wine for $1 a bottle. When you came in our tasting room at Cellars of Sonoma, you did a blind tasting, and then you entered the contest to win a bottle of wine for $1. But you had to be tuned in to the show to win. I'll send you an email with this clip so you can hear that we did call you and left you a message. And we look forward to your next visit and your next time you'll be tuned in to TV Tuesday Live. All right. See you later. Bye for now. So that's what happens when you enter the contest and you don't tune in. You get a little email from me and a little razz, but that's okay. We want you to watch. It's educational, and we get to taste wine together, or you can open up some wine. So, Michael, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank everybody that is always tuned in. And this is where you discover wine, one sip at a time, here at Cellars of Sonoma. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye for now. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers.